The Korean adaptation of Criminal Minds literally started with a bang. But does that apply to the overall first impression of its starting episodes? Is this new K-drama starring Lee Jung-ki and Moon Jae-won a sensation, or more of a disappointment? You are going to find out right now. Without further ado, let's enter Dramaland! Hello Dramaland Lovers! My name is Freda. If you're interested in more K-drama and J-drama reviews, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Before I get started, let me know in the comments down below what you're expecting from the Korean Criminal Minds, or if you've already seen the first 2 episodes, if you liked it or not. I'm not sure if it is necessary to say this, but I would like to mention that I'm going to express my own views here. We might agree on certain things, but on others we won't. Please do not feel offended if I'm expressing opinions that do not reflect yours. I guess most of you have heard of Criminal Minds before. It's a popular American TV show about a special investigation unit focusing on profiling criminals rather than the crime itself. tvN's latest K-drama is a remake of said TV show. Just be careful of possible spoilers if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes yet. I will try not to get into too much detail about the case that's being covered though, so that you can still enjoy watching it if you haven't seen it yet. The first case didn't disappoint in terms of shock value. Even I had to close my eyes at certain scenes, but more out of disgust than out of fear. It's a real bummer for me though that they decided to just copy the cases from the American TV show. I was hoping for new, original stories, maybe even following some of Korea's most shocking and well-known criminal cases. I did watch the American Criminal Minds for a few years, but after my favorite character Gideon left the show, I lost more and more interest and just stopped watching at one point. I do vaguely remember the first case that the tvN adaptation covered in episode 1 and 2, as well as the new one that they teased at the end of episode 2. But I'm glad that my memory is not so good that I remember too much about it, or else it would be boring to watch if you already know what's about to happen. I haven't warmed up to all of the characters yet, but Kim Hyun-jun and Kang Ki-hyung are so far my favorite ones. Lee Jung-ki and Son Hyun-ju are each doing an amazing job at portraying their characters. I especially enjoyed Son Hyun-ju's performance because he managed to make me instantly like his character. We got to see him being adorable with his cute family, as well as his brooding side. He does not deny that even intelligent and professional profilers can be wrong at times, which is an important self-assessment in my opinion, and we can be sure that he'll never forget about that because of a supposedly wrong decision he made in the past and how that affected him in a way that he lost confidence in being a profiler for a short period of time. Spoiler alert, because I'm making some guesses at what might happen and they could turn out to be true. I'm already biting my fingernails because I'm scared that something might happen to him and his family, maybe even used at the drama's big final, because they were just looking too happy and comfortable with each other for it to be true. There's not much exciting teamwork in the first 2 episodes because we're just getting to know the unit. Former members return and new members join, so the team is only really complete at the end of episode 2. That's why I can't wait for the teamwork to progress. We already got a small glimpse of how Kim Yoon-jun and Ha Sun-woo might tease each other and bicker on a profiler level. I especially loved the scene in which Kim Yoon-jun is wondering why Ha Sun-woo is offering him a ride when his car is just about to be towed off. As much as I liked the first 2 episodes, I do have 2 main complaints as well: the writing and the editing, especially regarding episode 1. The writers tried stretching a 40-minute case into 2 one-hour episodes, and that shows. Because, in my opinion, the main flaws in the story of episode 1 and 2 came from additional scenes and plotlines. In other words, material that wasn't in the original story. I really hope that this was just an exception for the beginning and that they won't split one case into 2 episodes anymore. There are a few of these additional dialogues and scenes that seem off. Let me give you just one example. Lee Han and Yoo Min-young are trying to figure out the suspect's computer password. They talk, I'll come back to that later, so they talk about the suspect having chamomile tea and melatonin in his room and conclude that both help with insomnia. So maybe the password is insomnia? Sadly, it isn't. The next day, Yoon Min-young is seen carrying a cat in her arms that supposedly is the suspect's pet. To a man living alone, a cat would mean everything to him. And surprise! Of course, the cat is wearing a name tag. Ta-da! There we have the password. I mean, how unimaginative and boring is that? A possible cruel murderer sets his cat's name as a password? That's something I would do. But not, as stressed several times in the episode, an intelligent guy who's skilled with computers. To say nothing of the fact that I'd rather imagine a murderer harming and killing animals in order to satisfy his bloodlust than cuddling with a cat on his couch. This whole password ordeal just screams bad writing at me. Want me to tell you what happens in the American version? Morgan searches the suspect's house for clues in order to guess the password. He finds medication that hints to the suspect's struggles with insomnia. Morgan then puts himself in the suspect's shoes, lies down in his bed, and tries to figure out what a guy with insomnia would do. He finds CDs and guesses that the suspect might listen to music in order to fall asleep at night. He tries to figure out which CD might be the suspect's favorite. Reed jumps in to help and they find a Metallica CD in the computer's drive. As the suspect is an insomniac that tries to listen to Metallica to fall asleep at night, Reed concludes that the password might be Metallica's song Enter Sandman. What an awesome way to figure out the password with profiling. I'm guessing that the Korean writers changed that part because they needed additional scenes to fill the 2 episodes. But I can imagine something else as well. Maybe due to differences in pop culture, the average Korean viewer may have never heard of Metallica before. But instead of coming up with something decent or more relevant, the writers went for the cat's name. The same scene brings us to my second main complaint. Directing and editing. Remember me stressing that Lee Han and Yoo Min-young talk about the hints that help them with profiling? Well, that's what the characters are doing way too many times. They're just talking about their profiling process instead of the drama showing the tea and the medication, for example. You don't see them trying to put themselves in the suspect's shoes, just like Morgan did with lying on the bed, for example. No, all they're doing is talking. And then there's that highly confusing sequence of scenes towards the end of episode 1. I still have no idea how the characters knew what they knew. Did they communicate with each other? Otherwise, I have no idea how Kim Yeon-jun knew that the girl he was just talking to on the phone had been kidnapped by the same guy they were looking for. Or how the other team members knew the identity of the kidnapped girl. Or how Kim Yeon-jun knew about and ended up at the intersection where the girl had been kidnapped. I could go on about some more scenes that were not well directed, edited or written, but I will leave it at that, or this video would end up being longer than the first 2 episodes of Criminal Minds combined. These flaws do bother me a lot, but nonetheless, I enjoyed watching the first 2 episodes. So, would I recommend that you should give the Korean adaptation of Criminal Minds a try? It depends. If you can't handle graphic images of blood, violence, abuse and the like, this is definitely not something you should watch. If you're a big fan of the American show, I think you can give it a try, but don't go in with high expectations, because the original has had more than 10 years and 12 seasons up until now to build its characters and story. You can't be expecting that for a Korean drama that's bound to have only 20 episodes and may never get a second season. If you're such a die-hard fan of the American show that you know all of the cases by heart, tvN's Criminal Minds will probably bore you because they seem to have just copied the original cases and adjusted them a bit. If you think that you won't mind the, so far, not so well thought out writing and directing regarding the profiling, as well as the at times confusing editing, you're good to go and give it a shot. I think if you haven't seen any episode of the original Criminal Minds before, you will be able to easily overlook the minor flaws of the Korean adaptation. I have a feeling that now that we have seen the team getting together, we will not only see gripping cases, but progressing team dynamics, with the members growing as a family and more insight into each character. This was my input on Criminal Minds' first 2 episodes. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, see you in my next video.